Hi Pisces, and welcome to your horoscope for March 2025. Thanks for joining me. It's a pleasure to be with you today. My horoscopes are based on the UK time zone, and please watch them in this order: rising sign first, then for your sun sign, and finally for your moon sign. So I'm going to break the month of March down into 4 weeks, and I'm going to pay particular attention to what the moon is doing, how it moves through your chart, in what areas of life it supports you, and when. So, week one, or the first 9 days of the month, really, Saturday the 1st to Sunday the 9th of March. On the 1st of March, we have the moon in your first house of self, and it's in your sign of Pisces. Now, in February, on the 27th, we had a new moon in Pisces, so in your sign of the zodiac. I'll make a separate video on that so you know exactly what that's about. But it happens in your first house of self, so it really is about pulling your energy in. On the 27th, the 28th, and the 1st of March, we've got the moon in Pisces. And with it being in your first house of self, it's joined by the transiting midheaven, here in March, the Sun in Pisces, Saturn in Pisces, Mercury in Pisces, the North Node in Pisces, and Neptune in Pisces. So the first day of this month is really about you being able to download a ton of information as it relates to your own hopes and dreams, what it is you want to build in life via career, the securities that you have, your assets, your belongings, what it is you want to communicate, and really what your ultimate life purpose is, what direction you're moving in towards. So I'll go into more detail on that video on the 27th of February, but it's a really significant new moon for you because you have a ton of your own energy being pulled in, and the new moon is about getting its bearings and saying, I've got all this energy, how am I going to use it? And in your case, it's going to be, what is most important to me right now? Is it career? Is it relationship? Is it life purpose? Is it my creative output? So you have a huge choice here at the beginning of March, what you're going to pour yourself into. Then also on the 1st of March, we have Venus, the planet of love and beauty and creativity, that goes retrograde until the 12th of April 2025. Now, I always mention this, but during a Venus retrograde, it's not the best idea to start a new relationship or a new business because your perspective on what you love is very different. And then when the planet goes direct, you can often be left scratching your head saying, what was I thinking? And for you specifically, Venus goes retrograde in your second house of money and belongings and assets. So if possible, and you're Pisces thinking of starting your own business, I would recommend that you leave it till after the 12th of April for the best outcome. The plus side of a retrograde is that you're able to see things differently, right? And with Venus being in that second house, ways of creating an income or creating money that you may not have considered in the past may suddenly become interesting to you. So, for instance, if you've always wanted to create an income through paid employment and you've never been interested in, for instance, as an example, cryptocurrencies, right? With Venus being in retrograde, you'll be willing to consider other ways of creating an income, and that could open things up for you so that you embrace or get to know something that you wouldn't have been willing to consider in the past, and it may benefit you moving forward. Then on the 2nd and 3rd of March, we've got the moon going into Aries, and it goes into your second house of money as well, joining Venus. But what we've also got sitting there is Chiron, the wounded healer, in Aries. So this 2-day period is an opportunity to look at your finances and to see how you can heal them as such. What can you do to improve your securities? Maybe it's as simple as looking how many direct debits you've got going out, some of which you're not even aware of, and just making sure you cancel those. Or it could be considering other ways of creating an income that have been suggested to you that you dismissed in the past. Or maybe it's considering a side gig or anything that really you immediately just offhand said no to. Reconsider that during the 2nd and 3rd of March. It may yield some good results. Also, on the 3rd of March, we've got Mercury, the communication planet, that ingresses into Aries, and it also goes into your 2nd house of money. Now, Mercury, as the communication planet in Aries, it's very confident. It's very willing to give its opinion. It looks at obstacles as a challenge. It says, this is not a block. This is something for me to work through. So with Mercury going into your 2nd house, it really encourages you again to look at different ways of creating financial security, most of all, in different ways, and even ways that seem overly complicated or problematic. Now, Mercury goes retrograde on the 15th of March, so try and use the first 2 weeks of this month to consider all of these different options for the best results. The moon moves on and goes into Taurus on the 4th and 5th of March, and it goes into your 3rd house of communication, where it joins Uranus, the planet of the miraculous and unexpected and chaotic. So one, if you're a Pisces who works creatively, you'll be able to produce a lot of good work during this 2-day period. Even work that may surprise you in its scope. Like even if you were just thinking of creating something simple that you've done many times in the past, you may find that there's an element to it that's surprising and that teaches you something. You may also find that you receive some sort of positive communication that feels like your life has been enriched. It could be from a family member, it could be from some sort of an institution, like especially an educational institution. And if you're expecting a response, or if you're expecting an answer, and it comes in around the 4th or 5th, expect it to be a good answer. The moon continues and goes into Gemini on the 6th and 7th of March. Hang on a second. Where are we? I just changed these batteries. They can't be... Here we go. The mouse was having a moment. Sorry, give me a second. 6th and 7th of March, the moon moves into Gemini, and it joins Jupiter, the lucky planet, which is also in Gemini, in your 4th house of your roots and your family and the things that are closest to you. So expect harmonious family relationships. Don't expect any unwelcome news that shake your very foundations, and expect the 6th and 7th to be kind of harmonious and calm. Then the moon continues on into Cancer on the 8th and 9th, and it joins your transiting rising, your transiting ascendant, Hades, and Mars, all in Cancer in your 5th house. So that's really interesting because the moon rules Cancer, so it's very happy in that placement. It's very intuitive. It's very much about nurturing. Hades is what you don't want to look at. Mars is ambition and drive, and the ascendant is what you're naturally like. So this is kind of complicated for you because the 8th and 9th, you're going to be interested in relationships, particularly romantic relationships, relationships with your partner, with your own children and your inner child. And there'll be a desire to take care of all of those people. But with Hades and Mars, they may kind of send you conflicting information. Plus we have Venus, the planet of love and beauty, in retrograde. So if there's anything emotionally that comes up on the 8th and 9th that's confusing, just kind of put that on hold for a moment. Try not to jump to conclusions immediately, and look at that later on in the month to see what that was all about. It was likely to reveal something to you that you are unwilling to look at, and kind of making note of that and looking at it in future may help to free you, may help to make you feel less burdened when it comes to your own emotions. On the 8th of March, if you're a stargazer, that's the best day of the month to view Mercury in the night sky. So look for the planet low in the sky in the west just after sunset. And Mercury is the communication planet. It's in your second house of money in Aries. So it's almost like this twinkling friend you've got in the sky that's urging you to find different ways of creating an income or changing the way you create an income, and it supports you in making changes in that area. So in the first 9 days, let's see, the moon started out in your first house of self, and on the 9th, it ended in your 5th house. So that's pretty much the entire lower half of your chart, excluding the 6th house. So this first week is really about enjoying your roots and all the good things that you have in your life, and then expanding on those and saying, how can I create other avenues to produce positive things coming in? How can I manifest even better circumstances? And because I have these great roots and I feel so grounded in my life, what's the area of interest that is most important to me right now, and how can I focus on that? How can I work towards that in future? Then week 2, Monday to Sunday, the 10th to the 16th of March. On the 10th, 11th, and 12th, we've got the moon in Leo, and that's in your 6th house of daily routine and the structures of your life and even your physical health. So expect to have a lot of energy during that 3-day period. Leo is about taking a position of leadership and being in the spotlight. So you may want to do something where you prove to yourself that you're physically strong, or you may want to take charge of tidying the house, for instance, if that's something that you've procrastinated on for a while. It's almost like you want to prove something to yourself. So you've got a ton of energy, channel it into something that relates to the structures of your everyday life and see if you can make improvements there. On the 13th and 14th, the moon goes into Virgo and it moves into your 7th house of relationships, and it's opposed by all this Pisces energy in your 1st house of self. So it's interesting because what's likely to happen on the 13th and 14th is that you'll meet people or a person where you immediately get a bad vibe, and there'll be a question of, do I work with this person or keep them around? Go with my gut that says absolutely not, or do I just test the waters and see where it leads me? The message I'm getting here is that on the 13th and 14th, if a stranger comes in and you do immediately get that kind of a bad vibe, make sure that you cut it off, that you trust your intuition, and that you don't see where it leads, because it's not likely to be a happy place. And specifically on the 14th of March, we have a lunar eclipse on the south node. It's a full moon in Virgo, and Virgo is a sign that's ruled by Mercury, the communication planet. It's very good at analysis and detail. And because this is a full moon that's interrupted by the eclipse, you'll feel the influence of this for the next 6 months. So the way it supports you until August is that your antennas are going to be working overtime when it comes to your relationships with other people. Anyone who is not going to bring positive kind of influences to your life, anyone who may have the wrong intentions or some sort of hidden agenda, you'll be able to pick up on that very quickly. And until August, you'll also be able to let go of negative relationships in your life very easily, and you can make space to bring in positive relationships. So from the 14th of March here, Pisces, until August, the astrology really supports you in building new and strong positive relationships. So if you're single and you're looking for the right partner, between the 14th of March until August is a really good time for you to put yourself out there, to listen to your intuition. You'll immediately be able to weed out the good ones from the bad ones, so that it's very likely that you're able to start and maintain a relationship with someone who's compatible with you and what you're really looking for. Then the moon moves into Libra on the 15th and 16th, and it goes into your 8th house of institutions and authorities. And Libra is like a bridge. So if you're trying to get your foot in the door with some sort of a company, if you've got a product that you want to sell, or if you've got a manuscript that you want to get published, or you've been looking for investment in your business, in your company, and it seemed impossible, like all the doors have been closed to you, these 2 days are great for you to kind of create that little opening and for you to find a way to submit your work or to get someone to listen to you. However, on the 15th of March, Mercury, the communication planet, goes retrograde, and it goes retrograde in Aries in your 2nd house of money. So again, it is a willingness to consider other ways of creating an income, of creating and manifesting prosperity and abundance. And you could argue that the fact that Venus and Mercury are both retrograde, it's not the best time to start new business relationships or romantic relationships, right? But because we've had that eclipse happen in your 7th house of relationships, remember, when it comes to meeting new people for the next 6 months, you've got a sixth sense. So I would say, out of all of the signs, I think there was one other sign that really wasn't impacted by the 2 retrogrades as much. But you are the other one. You're not impacted by these. So look at different ways of doing things. Be willing to start new relationships and new businesses. And please feel free to disagree with me in the comments. I welcome the feedback. But I think that full moon in Virgo eclipse really saves you from meeting and connecting with negative business partners, or going on dates and continuing to date someone who really is toxic. You'll pick up on that kind of stuff very quickly. So I think the negative influences of Venus and Mercury being retrograde are mitigated, and you get the benefits of them. The willingness to love and to create in a new and unfamiliar way. The willingness to entertain different perspectives and to see where they lead you while listening to your intuition as it relates to other people. So this second week is super interesting. On the 10th, the moon started in Leo in your 6th, and on the 16th, it ended in your 8th. So that's the right-hand side of the chart, and that's what you're looking for. So the thing that you don't have in your life just yet, the publisher, the business partner, the second source of income, the second week is when you can find it, and it's by listening to your intuition that saves you from making negative new connections. Week 3, Monday to Sunday, the 17th to the 23rd of March, the moon is still in Libra on the 17th, so that ability to connect with new people, organization continues. Then on the 18th and 19th, the moon goes into Scorpio, and it moves into your 9th house of education, travel, and connection to the higher realms. And it joins Vesta, which is the hearth, the home, also in Scorpio. So these 2 days, if anything has been unclear to you, if you go on a trip, or you study something that you're interested in, or you meditate or contemplate or do yoga or chant, something is going to click, and you'll get an answer to something that up until that point was very fuzzy and nebulous, and where you didn't have a crystal clear yes or no. Then the moon moves into Sagittarius, and it goes into your 10th house of career. On the 20th, 21st, and 22nd, These 3 days are wonderful for you in terms of your work. You'll be able to make a lot of progress. You'll be able to get a lot done. So if you're able to kind of schedule the month a little bit, and you've got a lot of outstanding work that needs dealing with, that needs taking care of, if possible, do it on the 20th, 21st, and 22nd, because you'll be hyper productive and you'll be able to complete a lot more than you usually would. On the 20th, the sun goes into Aries and it also goes into your second house of money. So the drive to create more securities, other sources of income, if you're a student or retired, again, different ways of funding the studies, or finding a way for your hobby to create an extra source of income, all of those things are going to not become more visible to you, but you'll have a greater sense of ambition and drive to turn something fuzzy and impractical into something that is extremely practical and that you can define to the number, as in how much does this make me. Also on the 20th of March, we've got the spring equinox if you're in the northern hemisphere. It's the autumn equinox if you're in the southern hemisphere. But regardless of location, this is the day where there will be nearly equal amounts of day and night throughout the world, right? So it's night and day, light and dark, good and bad. That really helps you to differentiate between what's going to work for you and what's practical and good and what isn't. And it's another thing that's going to support you in your intuition when it comes to meeting new people and either working with new people or starting relationships with new people. Then on the 23rd, the moon goes into Capricorn and it extends into week 4. It stays in Capricorn on the 24th of March and it goes into your 11th house of hopes and dreams. So it's more pennies dropping, it's more things clicking. You will understand now by this time of the month exactly what your priorities are, what your biggest hopes and dreams for the future are, in order of importance from 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. And with the moon being in Capricorn on the 23rd and 24th, you'll be able to kind of roll up your sleeves and get started on the actual heavy lifting, on the work. So in week 3, the moon starts on the 17th in Libra in your 8th house. And it ends up on the 23rd in your 11th house. So that's the very top half of your chart. So week 3 is really about business opportunities and what new information is coming through. And what can I get done and what can I complete and what are my hopes and dreams. So super productive week number 3. Then moving on to week 4, Monday to Monday, the 24th to the 31st of March. Moon still in Capricorn on the 24th. Then on the 25th and 26th, the moon goes into Aquarius and it moves into your 12th house of spirituality and spiritual strength. And it joins Pluto in Pallas. Pluto is transformation and change, death and rebirth. Pallas is wisdom. And Aquarius is the sign of the humanitarian and the teacher. And I think during this 2-day period, on the 25th and 26th, you may get some ideas from the higher realms that, again, come from a very unusual source, but may end up being incredibly practical. So if you have a spiritual practice, please use it around the 25th, 26th. It will yield great results. Then on the 27th and 28th, the moon moves into your sign of Pisces. But also on the 27th, Venus, which is retrograde, it moves back into your sign of Pisces. On the 29th of March, Mercury does the same. It's retrograde, so it moves back into Pisces. So on the 27th and 28th, we've got a ton of things in your first house of self. We have the moon, we have Saturn, we have the North Node, Neptune, Venus. But unlike before, at the beginning of the month, where it was like, what do I decide to focus on? What are my priorities? You now know what your priorities are. Allow yourself to dream during this time, the 27th and the 28th, and manifest what it is you want to build. Maybe even do a vision board where you're sticking images of what you're working on, what your priorities are. Stick those on a piece of paper, put them on your fridge so you're looking at them every day. It's using all your energy to funnel it, to channel it into a particular area where you want to create the most manifestation, the most genuine, concrete building of things. The 29th and 30th, the moon goes back into Aries, and it goes back into your second house of money. But on the 29th, we have another eclipse. This one is a solar eclipse on the North Node, and it's a new moon in Aries. So a ton of Aries energy is being pulled in. And again, this will influence you for the next 6 months until the end of August. And the new moon in Aries, remember, is the first sign of the zodiac. So it's, I'm the boss. There are no obstacles. Problems do not exist in my vocabulary. All of that energy is expressed in your second house of money. So if creating more security or more wealth or more prosperity or even financial freedom is on your priority list, that's what this eclipse supports you with. So maybe on that list of priorities, put money at some sort of a high number, because the next 6 months really support you in creating what it is you want and overcoming obstacles so easily, so that you'll be able to take the financial pressure off at the very least, and at the very best that you can create real wealth here in 2025. Then on the 30th, your ruler, Neptune, which has been in your sign of Pisces for a long, long time, finally moves out of Pisces and it moves into Aries, and it goes into your second house, again, of money and securities. And now it's dream time is over. We know what the dreams are. Now it's time again to channel the dreams into a particular area and to run with them. And then finally on the 31st, the moon moves into Taurus, and it goes into your third house of communication next to Uranus in Taurus. So this is a nice way to end the month, where you feel that you're able to express yourself very easily. What you're trying to say comes out in the way that it was intended. It may be that you even, again, surprise yourself with something that you weren't thinking of talking about, but it comes out and it's applauded. Or on the flip side, that you get more good news coming in via some sort of institution or a family member. So in the last week, the moon started on the 24th in Capricorn in your 8th house, and on the 31st it ended up in your 3rd house. So that's the left hand side of the chart pretty much, excepting the 10th house, and that is spiritual information, communication via other sources, all of them coming in order for you to take action, to manifest and to realize your own hopes and dreams. And everything becomes much clearer, the fog disappears, and by the end of March, expect to really have a very straightforward game plan that includes almost no vagueness whatsoever. So you're taking on a lot of Aries energy here in March, and it'll allow you to take all this wonderful imaginative information and to channel it and to pour it into something tangible, and then to benefit from it as a result. So that's what I get for you here in March. I hope it gives you an idea of what you'll be working with. If you'd like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. To draw up your birth chart, I need your place of birth, date of birth, and time of birth. If you don't have the time of birth, that's not a huge problem. I can use sunrise, but it means that the ascendant and the house placements aren't going to be accurate. So there's a process called chart rectification where you send me 10 or more significant life events and I can manually work out your time of birth, which makes the chart much more accurate. And then once I have it in front of me, I can analyze the chart and see what your vocational aptitudes are and what your strengths and weaknesses are, what your life purpose is, what's destined in love and romance and finance and friendship. So if you're interested in that, please get in touch to look at what's coming up in future. I look at your progress chart, I look at your transits, and if it's around your birthday, I also look at your solar return chart to see what's coming up in the year ahead. If there's anything around location or moving, I look at the astrocartography, which is based on your natal chart, and it shows me what parts of the world are going to benefit you and which parts of the world are not going to benefit you. So if you're interested in any of that, please do get in touch for a personal reading. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, please. That helps the video show up in searches. Subscribe for future videos. And if you know anyone who you think might be interested in this video, then please share the video with them. That's the way the channel grows, and that's a way to support me and my work, and I'd be ever so grateful. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll speak to you soon. All the best.